Here we go. I was not producing audio. Whoa, what is that noise?
I think something on his end is making noise. And then he just muted it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
My money's on a blender.
Yeah, that sounded like a blender. Well, sorry about the delay, everybody. So there was a technical problem. My power went out. Don't know what's going on. Hope it gets fixed soon. Whatever it was that happened, obviously the power is back. So let's get down to business. I was just saying, roll initiative.
I had great initiative. Come on. Oh, well, this is even better.
All right, not bad. So, as part of your observations, by the way, Valara,
Yes.
you were also able to see that there is a large, strange creature in the corner. And you don't know what it is. But if you would roll a nature check while we all get our initiative sorted out and I roll for everyone else.
It's got tentacles. Oh, Lord. I'm too grossed out to notice anything.
You've never seen anything like this before. I mean, you've read stories about monsters, but you've never seen anything like this.
Can I point it out to Maruk and see if she,
You can.
I got no clue.
Moruruk, before she begins to cast her spell, looks over at the creature and... I think perhaps it might be a roper. I've never seen one in person before, but I've heard stories. They're supposed to be intelligent.
why does
Just
it have the
don't
curious name of
attack
Roper?
it.
Okay.
If we don't attack it, it might not get involved.
It's an awfully big mite.
Well, I mean, do you want
But
to
I
pick a
mean-
fight with it?
Directly? Nah.
Okay, then let's all agree not to attack the roper.
I still, I'm a little curious as to its name. I'm guessing has something to do with the tentacles.
You would assume
Fine.
correctly. If it is what I think it is, it might... What the reason it's called that, supposedly, is they attack with their tentacles, and then they sort of drag their prey in, as though they've roped it, and then they eat it. Think like a very large fly trap.
So exactly how long are these tentacles, do you know?
I mean, you can see them from here. They're massive. I mean, they look like little ropes, but look, it has so many.
What I'm getting at is, from where it's sitting at right now, could it pull me off this ledge into, say, a thing of fire? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've never seen one in person. I couldn't tell you, but I'm
Okay.
not about to find out by making it angry.
Yeah, let's avoid attacking it.
Yes, please. All right, I still need to roll for Sir Arik right quick. And he did very well on his initiative, considering. All right. Valara.
Yes.
Moruruk goes ahead and starts the party by casting Entangle. Now, Entangle did affect one of the drakes, but not the other. So I need to go ahead and add that.
Oh, like they rolled and it didn't affect him, or they weren't in the area?
One of them managed to save against it, the other one
Okay.
did not.
Okay, that's fine. Do we know which one managed to not? And is he still standing in the area, or did he do a dodge roll?
He's still standing in the area, so it's considered difficult terrain, but it is
But he's not trapped.
He is not restrained by it.
Cool. Is it the one without the little yellow dot? Guard Drake 2?
Guard Drake 2 is it does not have the dot because he's not affected.
Cool. Well, I'm going to direct my firebolt in that direction.
Okay.
And so that way I can both light it on fire and maybe light him on fire for funsies. Damn.
And you hurl your bolt of flame, and it sails harmlessly past. And I forgot to have Morrick roll for... That is some very, very dry, ready-to-catch bramble.
Cool. So at least it caught fire.
I mean, it...
I meant like his feet.
I'll say because... Okay, so you're aiming at his feet?
Yeah, I mean at his feet. Like, its primary is to catch that stuff on fire, but, you know, if I can...
Percentile for me. 2d10.
2d10. Which one's the 10?
It's the sort of diamond-shaped one, third from the left.
Cool.
$79. Okay. Yeah, I'll say that you hit that.
Yay!
The area around that Drake is now on fire. On its turn, it's going to have to make a save or take damage.
Cool.
All right.
And that should spread throughout the rest of the...
It'll take a round or so, but yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Do you want to move?
I'm gonna back up one, actually.
Okay. Sir Arik's turn. Sir Arik is going to remain where he is and stay prepared, but Sir Arik is also going to go ahead and cast... Sir Arik is going to go ahead, before he goes anywhere else, and cast Bless on the rest of you.
Hey, hashtag blessed.
Yeah.
Such blessing.
Much holy. Wow.
All right. Now, what this means with the blessing, and you feel, as he does so, he touches his holy symbol, and he whispers a few words, and as he does, you feel this little prickle settle into your skin and run up run across your skin like you're getting goosebumps. But there's a warmth to it, a comfort to it, and suddenly you feel emboldened. Now, whenever a target makes an attack roll or a saving throw before the spell ends, of whoever is blessed, they may also add a d4 and add that number you roll to your attack or your saving throw.
Cool.
So just remember, you are blessed for as long as he stays concentrating, which he can do for up to a minute.
Sweet.
So Sir Arik focuses on that blessing, maintains it, and stays right where he is, and brings his shield up to guard.
Speaking of guard,
now the next is the Drake. The Drake is going to attempt to break out of the entangle. The Drake does not make its saving throw. Does not break out of the entanglement. That Drake is still there.
Has the fire spread to him yet?
Nope. But the fire has spread to this one. This Drake has to make a save.
Yeah.
Which he fails. Drake takes 1d6 fire damage. That's 2. So this Drake has already begun to take some damage. He's going to attempt... Well, let's see what he does. He's not that smart, but... The Drake, seeing the fire around it, begins to panic a little bit, and it tries to get to the eggs, but in the process of thrashing around and trying to get across the sudden brambles that have erupted through the stone and the earth beneath it, the Drake ends up just spreading the fire around itself further, and it begins to freak out a little bit.
It's freaking out, man.
So it does not go anywhere.
Ding.
Jarell, it's your turn.
Gonna throw your sword?
Off goes the sword.
Man. If only we'd saved some of those natural 20s.
Sword did not go anywhere.
Nope. I'm going to take it as a bonus action. You recover your sword?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
I assume it boomerangs.
It doesn't. He has to actually focus on it to make it come back to him.
Yep.
Did you want to do anything else?
No, I'm pretty good on where I am right now.
Moore grins at the little bonfire that the two of you have made together and says, well, this is off to a better start already. And she reaches out and she aims down at the Drake, Drake that's actually free. But she can't quite get a bead on him. So she instead targets the first Drake, who is restrained.
And then Hime comes in and saves everybody.
No, unfortunately, Hime is
that's how we got the blessing.
Not a fighter cat.
She's a little too stupid to fight. Bless her heart.
I don't know why Moore targeted herself, but she definitely hit.
Well, quit hitting yourself.
No kidding. Guardrake 1 takes almost max damage from her flame ball. You see Maruk pull fire from nowhere from between her hands, shape it into a ball, and hurl it at the Drake, and it strikes it full in the chest. So that area, that area around the Drake is now on fire as well. Now the roper sees what's going on here, but it doesn't do anything. You see the tendrils sort of reach out and pick up a little piece of meat off the ground and slither it back. And as it does so, you see a hideous maw open. And it just gingerly places the meat into its maw and begins to chew. And that's the roper's turn. That's all it does.
It's getting dinner and a show.
Poncho just stares at this and says, nope, guys, nope, that's not okay. All right. So for his next bit, Poncho turns to Jarell and says, with a little ting of his lute, he inspires you and says, I love the way you throw your sword, yeah. I love it better when it actually hits.
I love being inspired.
So you take a d6 of inspiration, Jarell. You can now add that to your attack roll, in addition to the d4 of your blessing.
Amazing.
So that bardic inspiration, that is a bonus action. So he can still do something. I'm going to have him do... I'm going to have him cast...
I mean, he could do some healing.
Yeah. I'm going to have him cast Cure Wounds on... Actually, no. I'm going to do better than that. Okay. Yeah. Madness. Okay. He then turns his song into... And I love it even more when I got this dragon who's gonna help us out.
Oh, he's charming him.
And he casts Crown of Madness on the Drake that's actually free. With a natural 20!
No, this is a terrible idea.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's the worst.
No, like,
Drake,
it could go attack the roper.
The Drake just stares him down, and Poncho just kind of goes, "Ooh, I don't think he liked that song. He's giving me the stink eye, guys."
Good.
Yeah, and
Like,
unfortunately,
we didn't want that to take. He could have attacked the roper, and that looks big and gross and squishy.
Too Far just looks at you and says, "No, he would have done what I said. It was a good spell. It just didn't work because he doesn't like my music. So I think I'm going to try something else." But that's the end of his turn for now. Valara, it is now your turn.
So how do I add this extra dice for my attack roll?
Well, go ahead and make your attack roll and then add a d4 with it.
Okay.
Ooh, natural 1.
I don't think a d4 is going to help.
Your shot just goes wild and hits the wall. You whatever happened, either you were just so jangled with your nerves by what Poncho just did, or the dragon's stare just kind of is very off-putting to you. It's hard to say. You miss completely.
Well, so this is where I put all my natural ones. I was wondering where I left them.
Did you want to move or anything, or take a bonus action?
No, I'm good.
All right.
I don't have bonus actions.
Sir Arik advances 5 feet, and then 10 feet.
He's getting a little annoyed at how long we're taking.
And just waits and says, "Guys, whatever you're going to do, I prefer if you do it." And he maintains concentration on the blessing. Guardrake number 1 is going to attempt to break free again.
Here, I have one of my natural ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's a present.
He does not break free.
Hey.
He does, however, take an additional d6 in fire damage. Ooh, that's another 4 points.
We're having a barbecue.
Guardrake is looking annoyed. Guardrake number 2... Guardrake number 2 sees the advancing Sir Arik and is going to try to get to him. But its speed is halved because this is difficult terrain now, and so it's not able to get there.
Also fire damage.
Also fire damage.
We're having
He
a
only
barbecue.
he only takes 1.
Hey, it adds up.
It does. It does add up. Jarell?
So let's start again. Let's
Wow.
count that down.
No.
D6.
Darn it.
Remember, you can add your d6 inspiration.
Meep.
Okay, that's an 18. Which Guardrake was this against?
The step
2?
one.
All right. You beat his armor
Guardrake
class.
1.
That beat his armor class, so you hit him. Go ahead and roll damage.
Meep.
Okay. Gardrake 2 suddenly finds a huge sword sailing through the air, and it strikes him in the side before it evaporates.
Gardrake 1.
Or Gardrake 1, then. Alright. Yeah. Gardrake 1 finds the sword fly through the air before it strikes him, and you hear a cry from the dragon of pain and rage before the sword evaporates in a cloud of arcane smoke and reforms in your hand.
Yeah.
Morrook looks around and says, "Ooh, this could go poorly." Morrook steps up to the plate, sees the other Drake coming, and says, "Oh, well, I might as well." And she tries to throw another ball of fire at it. This one goes wide, but it does set the area on fire as well, so the Drake is going to have to contend with the fire in the space he's in, and the fire is spreading through the brambles rapidly because of how dry it is. The roper just continues to contentedly munch on whatever it was it picked up. It does not seem to be doing anything else.
Cool. Let's leave it that way.
Yeah. And then Poncho...
Keep doing you, roper.
Poncho looks around and says, "Guys, I don't really want to try that again right now, so, I guess... Laura, how you doing?" He looks over at you.
I'm a little bruised up. A bit of a banana right now.
Okay. He nods and says... And then he steps over to you. He says, "Here, this should help." And he gives you a little pat on the shoulder, and that becomes...
Healing pat of friendship?
a healing pat of friendship with 10 points of health.
Ooh.
And he turns and he says, "This will, believe me, this will make you feel better."
Yay.
And he also looks over at Sir Arik and says, "Sir Arik, you got big muscles, man. You got this." And he tosses an inspiration die to Sir Arik.
It's always a party when there's a bard along.
Right. Valara, it's your turn.
Cool. Let's not go for the triple crown of ones. Hey! Yeah.
All right.
And it's damage, right? Not attack.
There's a searing bolt of fire that streaks through the air. Go ahead and give me damage.
Okay. There's the one.
You found your ones. Unfortunately, the fire just does very little damage, but it does strike home, and you hear a roar of pain and frustration.
Emphasis on the frustration of just like, this is not his day. It's too long a day.
Yeah.
He's not paid enough to deal with this.
Yeah. Now, Sir Arik, seeing that the creature is headed straight for him, limbers one of his javelins and says, "Okay. All right, then." And he reaches out, and with this next shot, he's going to go ahead and loose at the Drake. Wow, those ones are really coming out. And the javelin just falls into the brambles at the Drake's feet. He seems to have stumbled on a loose stone on the steps. Sir Arik sort of looks around and goes, Okay, that didn't go as planned. And he limbers his shield up and holds it at the ready. Guard Drake 1 is going to attempt one more time to try to break free.
There's
and
another
continues to fail.
He's just really invested in protecting those eggs.
He is very invested in protecting those eggs, but it's causing him to burn to death, too. And you see the fires beginning to peter out, but as it does so, it's also eating through the brambles.
How are those eggs looking? Are they looking nice and cooked?
Well, that's a good question. You'll have to go over and examine them.
We can do that later.
Yep.
I'm a little busy right now.
Yeah, that guard Drake looks frustrated, though. Very angry. You hear it begin to just roar its frustration again. This continuous, frustrated noise, just snarling anger. The second guard Drake can just barely make it to the edge, but it does go ahead and take that D6 fire damage. This time it's beginning to cook it too. And it charges forward through the brambles, making it just to the edge where it can attack Sir Auric. And it tries to bite. 19, that's a pretty solid hit.
Oh, gosh darn it.
He makes his concentration check and succeeds in keeping the blessing up, but he still takes the hit. That snap of teeth just bites down hard, and you see him sort of shrug it and block it off with his shoulder, but it's not good.
He's damage heavy. Like, right.
Quitting.
Jarrell, maybe we should focus on Guard Drake 2 right now. Just mebs.
Mm.
And not focus all our ones on it. Just focus in general.
But the one's our friend.
No. Well, yeah, they're our friends, so you want to keep them close.
This time, as you hurl your greatsword out, you see it just barely strike, and it buries itself in the meat of the creature's shoulder. What's your damage on that?
7.
It bites home. You hear the creature roar its frustration again. It snarls back at you, and you see it lock eyes with you for a moment, and then turn to focus again on Sir Auric. Did you want to do something else? Bonus and move action left.
Other than summoning my sword back, and nothing else.
Alright. There's a little whisper of arcane energy as it returns to your hand. Mororuk looks over at this creature again and says, "Oh, I don't think so." And the blast of fire she looses at it goes wide, but it does splash onto the ground at its feet and set that same space alight. You hear Mororuk say something very filthy in Orcish, but you can only tell it's filthy because of the tone she says it with. Poncho looks around at the rest of you. Everyone doing all right?
Not Sir Auric. He's looking a little wilted.
All right. Poncho dashes forward. And not having any other ranged implements equipped, he simply brandishes his rapier at the creature and says something to the effect of, "Hey, Scaly, up here! Bet you can't get me."
What did you just type, Jarrell?
It was in Orcish. You couldn't understand it.
Well, that's why I was like,
The creature fails its save, and the creature actually looks deeply offended by whatever it is that it didn't understand from too far, but at the same time, the words seem to have really bit home. And it takes max damage from, and also gains disadvantage on its next attack roll.
It really likes its boots, and it's offended that you insulted them.
Vicious Mockery can be such a useful cantrip. Pardon me. Alright, Valara?
Hey! Well, I'm gonna start making my way towards our dying paladin so I can spare the dying if needed. And then I will Eldritch Blast.
Alright.
Damn!
Do you want to add your inspiration die to that?
Yeah. Which one is that again?
Just throw another d6.
D6, okay.
You feel that inspiration as it curves your spell in just a little more. But it sails past and does nothing except to just bury some of the brambles into the ground a little further.
Well, at least I can't whiff the spare the dying.
Sir Arik, now firmly engaged with the guard drake, draws his sword. All right then, big thing. Let's go. And he's actually going to use his inspiration as well. Yes! Okay. Hitting on an 18. But rolling a 3 on damage. Damn it. Alright, so he's not happy about how this is going, but the Drake is firmly focused on him, and he's holding it off as best he can. Alright. Guardrake 1, still restrained, somehow. It's going to go ahead and try to make its check to escape, and it makes it.
Finally.
Guardrake 1 is no longer restrained, but it's still in the burning fire, and it is going to have to go ahead and take that damage. Which it does. It's another 3 points.
It also has a nice fiery field of brambles to walk through.
Yep. It looks around, looks up at the rest of you, somehow understanding that you're the threat that's caused all this frustration and misery for it, and it just roars and begins to charge through the brambles a bit at a time. Guardrake 2 follows suit. And this time it's going to open up with a full multi-attack. The bite misses Sir Arik, but the tail whips around behind his shield and slaps him hard. A full critical. And unfortunately, Sir Arik drops. The blessing, you feel it fade.
Well, I was wasting anyways.
As Sir Arik collapses on the ground.
Well, I know what I'm doing with my next turn.
The creature does take 5 points of fire damage, though, because it's still in the middle of a burning fire where Moraruk dropped that fire on it.
Thank goodness.
It's not looking too good. Jarrell hurls his sword across the field.
Yeah, dude.
It's still kicking, though.
It does strike him.
He's not looking too good, though.
And you hear the creature roar at you again.
I call my
pain and
sword
rage.
back.
And as you do, the sword returns to your hand.
Weapon bonus. Amazing.
Mora cries out as she sees her friend fall, and she rushes forward just a step. She's going to burn a healing spell to try to help Sir Arik. It doesn't do much, but it brings him back.
Oh, thank God.
Sir Arik is now conscious, but prone, lying on the ground.
Not feeling so hot.
No, he doesn't look good at all. He looks like he's in great pain. With that same thing, though, because the spell she used was only a bonus action, she turns and brings her rage to bear on the creature that did the damage to her friend again, and snarls something in Orcish. As another bolt of fire lances out and burns the creature. It growls in frustration. Poncho steps down the steps just a little bit. And rather than going after the creature, actually, you know what I just realized? Poncho successfully caused the creature to have to take disadvantage by the use of that cantrip, but the disadvantage didn't apply, so it actually shouldn't have gotten just that natural 20. It didn't drop any other roll. Let me see what else it would have gotten. No, wait. There were two different attacks. Let me scroll back up. Yeah, but it didn't make it apply that either. Alright, well that was a second attack, so the disadvantage wouldn't have applied to the second attack either way. And the first one did miss, so can't do anything about that. Too Far steps down the steps, holding his rapier trained on the creature to try to threaten it into keeping it at bay. And as he does so, he reaches down and touches his friend on the shoulder and tries to haul him to his feet. Up you get, big man. Come on. And with that, he casts Cure Wounds again, bringing another 7 points of health. To Sir Arik, who is doing better, but still looking really rough. All right. Valara, it's your turn.
Oh, let's see if I can manage to not whiff.
Another Eldritch Blast goes lancing through the air. And just misses the creature.
I've missed every single one.
Do you want to do anything else?
I'm chilling right here. So I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. Sir Arik, having taken advantage of Poncho's using part of his move action to help him get to his feet, turns on the Drake and says, "I've had just about enough of you." And as a result, as a bonus action, you see a gleam of divine light begin to shed from his fist and suffuse his sword as he calls upon the divine favor of his patron. So the first thing he does, he goes ahead and casts that. that is not the effect I told it to have. So he casts the Divine Favor on himself, and as he does so, he swings his sword again, this time biting home easily. And he's going to pour in a Divine Smite as well. And that's going to be an additional... an additional 2d8 as he burns the... as he burns through the holy energy. That's for another 12 points of damage on top of that. And as you watch, Sir Arik's sword, as it gleams with a brilliant golden light, slices straight through the Drake's neck, and it leaves it collapsing headless to the floor as it roars its last. But you see the smite just slice straight through him. So that Drake is dead. That Drake is very dead.
Woo.
Guard Drake 1
Still on fire?
takes 2 more points of fire damage.
Hey!
And he rushes forward as well over the rough terrain. He targets Sir Arik because he's the closest thing to him, and he tries to bite. But the bite, as he roars and moves forward, the bite connects with the shield. And you see Sir Arik bust the creatures in the snout with his shield as it charges forward. Jarrell?
Alrighty. Let's see here.
You throwing your weapon again?
Yep.
Alright. Yeah, unfortunately, as your sword hurtles through the air, it misses. And then it returns to your hand in a burst of arcane energy.
Yes.
More cheers at the sight of the fallen Drake, and then focuses her attention on the last one remaining. Very nice. She runs up, hurls another ball of fire at the Drake, and it strikes it across the flank. Pain. The Roper does nothing, but you see that its tendrils begin to quest out toward some of the blood and attempting to reach out to the meat of the fallen Drake. It can't quite get there. But you do see it trying to get to the dead Drake. It looks like nothing so much as a large tentacled rock trying to draw everything around it in that it might be able to eat. Poncho comes to his round, and he steps into range of this other Drake. He's going to take a moment and... No, he's gonna go straight for the kill. And Poncho just lashes out with this rapier, hitting home for maximum damage. Well done, Poncho. He drives home his blade, sinking it up to the hilt in the creature's hide, and it roars its anger and its pain. And Poncho whips back with a wild smile on his face. It says, "Oh, I'm gonna write this down." Valara, it's your turn.
You can do it.
Just gotta believe. Look at this team. We're doing great. Hey!
Look at this
Yay!
thing. We're doing
Good job.
great.
I'm so
All right.
happy. Finally hit something.
Give me damage.
It's not terrible. I've seen worse.
That bolt of energy flies through the air and strikes across the creature's flank. It's really not looking good. You see it stagger rather than roar.
Now, Poncho won't get to say, and Valara whiffed everything. I didn't whiff everything. Only most.
Sir Arik grins, seeing everybody reaching out and doing as much damage as they are to it. And he raises his sword, and you see it begin to gleam with light again as he strikes it again, one last time, and cleaves its head from its shoulders to join its fellow on the ground, and he kicks the head off into the corner.
Nice.
You see the roper grab hold of the drake's head and drag it toward its maw and begin to chew. Both the guard drakes are down.
Sweet.
With a little puff of dust and dirt, Morrook dismisses the cloud of brambles that covers the ground.
Alright, we should probably go take a peek at those eggs, make sure they're well done. But
Okay.
I really don't want to go near that rope.
Well, the roper's all the way over there.
So let's just gingerly
The eggs,
edge around.
the eggs were right over here.
I'm sure a box will appear at some point.
Yeah, we can't see that drawing.
I'm
only
just
see it on
assuming they're
stream.
to the left of those of
I've
that L-shaped
just
rock
moved
formation.
you.
Okay, cool.
I've moved you both to where the eggs are.
Sweet. Are they looking cooked? Can I stomp one?
You can absolutely stomp them. They look quite warm, but they don't look like they've been. They don't look boiled, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
Did you want to do something to them?
I would
I
like to do a stomp.
am going to swing my sword through these two.
All right. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Amazing.
Somehow, your blade bites into the rock next to the egg. You're that tired. It's heavy. You've been swinging this thing for a day and a half now, and you haven't had any rest. Not any real rest.
All right, I have a. You know what? I'll use my dagger. I think.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a dagger attack.
Oh! Now that's where my 20s and higher rolls were at.
All right. You
Now
don't
that I'm
even
out of
need to roll
combat.
damage for that. Between the combined fire damage and the force of your dagger attack, you open the egg. And as your blade pierces the shell, this is kind of rock-like, leathery shell, the interior contents of the egg just begin to ooze and drip out. And there's this dragon about the size of a dog that sort of flops out to the side, gasping and
Shit,
mewling.
it's not dead.
And then it sort of sputters and expires on the ground in front of you.
Am I pretty sure it's dead, or do I
It's
need to?
Dead.
Okay.
You can still properly kill it by stabbing it or something, but it expires since it was not at all ready to leave the egg.
Okay. Good, because I'm like, I may draw mustaches on people with my knife, but I feel bad about
There we
stabbing a
go.
dragon.
All right, that greatsword swing definitely hit this time. And what kind of damage do you want to do with that?
I am just going to cleave the egg.
You split the egg in two, and your sword gets kind of stuck in the middle. And you realize you've struck probably the same thing. You just work your blade in and in and in, and then rip it free. And you see blood wet about 2 feet down the length of the blade. Whatever's inside is very dead. There's one more egg.
Alright, time for the stab.
Rook walks up to this one.
No, you can't keep it.
And then says, I don't wish to keep it. The creature's evil. The very nature of a black dragon is war and dominion and pride and power. It would kill everything in the area. We can't have that. No, it has to be dealt with. It's regrettable, but it must be done. She reaches out almost reluctantly, touches the egg, and as her hand lays across the leathery sides of the egg, you can see her hand is wreathed in a bright flame. It simply just tears through the exterior. And for a moment, you can see the glowing shadows of the interior as it cooks and practically boils at her touch. You smell horrible, almost pleasant cooking smell. And then it begins to blacken and smoke. And she reaches her hand back, still damp, shakes it free of the slime a little bit, and says, it's done. She looks very discomfited by the entire affair, as though it was incredibly unpleasant and distasteful, but she looks resolved. Well, I think we've done what we set out to do. The cult is gone. We may not have recovered much of their treasure, but we recovered enough. And we have the intelligence they asked us for.
And we have all those hostages.
Yes.
So we can help save as well.
Yes. And that's good, right?
That's good. That's very good. And we made sure that there weren't going to be 3 black dragons terrorizing the neighborhood.
Thank goodness.
So, are dragon shells worth anything? Like, can we make anything cool out of them?
Make an intelligence check.
Would that be intelligence or?
Straight intelligence or nature,
okay.
If you have it. Well, intelligence to know the general value, nature if you want to know if you could make anything out of it.
I want to know if I can make it. God!
This really wasn't.
Hey, look!
This really wasn't a focus of yours. No one's ever really done any deep, study on crafting from that particular part of a dragon. Jarell, as you glance around at the eggs, you think, well, if they'd been intact, somebody might have bought these, but there's no way now. I mean, maybe some disreputable sort might want it for the meat or possibly for the bodies, but it's not worth it. But as you glance over at the roper, you think to yourself,
it's gonna like that.
A really excellent way to pacify this creature might be to toss the dragon's meat into its
That's what I was about to do.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make sure I don't throw it because I'll natural one it and hit the face.
Jarell, you go over and it's no difficulty for you. You drag bits and pieces and the grime and the gore and what's left of the solid egg, and you just toss or roll it, and it ends up within range of the roper. And the roper, actually, to your surprise, speaks. And you hear a voice that says something like, just sort of a rasping, rocky sound. Go ahead and make an intelligence check. If you didn't know better, you would think it just thanked you.
You're welcome.
And it begins, and you get the same impression, Valara. You can definitely discern it's speaking. It's speaking language. It may not be a language you understand, but it's speaking. And as it begins to haul in the bits of meat, a little inch at a time, bit by bit by bit, it seems to be muttering to itself as it draws the meat up into its maw and begins to very messily begin to chew through the remnants of these 3 dead black dragons and drakes. The roper is thoroughly pacified and busy with its prey.
Well, I think we should probably leave.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for edging away and just getting out of here, you know.
All of you are able to make it out to the exit without too much trouble at all.
Yay!
There's very little, in fact, I would say almost none, of the entirety of this cavern and dungeon that you didn't explore. And as you make your way out, you're thankful for the feel of fresh air on your face again as you reach the top. As you continue along your way, you see a number of different things outside. One is that Leosin is indeed out here with a number of the refugees and the captured villagers. He comes up to you immediately and greets you all and says, "Oh, thank goodness. I hid the rest of them. The cultists, at some point in the last 6-7 hours, they packed everything up and fled. Took a lot of the loot with them, but I didn't see any of you. I feared the worst. Are you all well?"
We're doing okay. We took care of the dragons. I wouldn't go in there though. There's a really gross roper tentacle monster thing in there. So wouldn't go back in there.
Surprised
We
they
just
would keep
left
such a
it be.
creature.
I mean, I guess it was their like daycare and nanny kind of.
I don't know what that means, but if they wouldn't have used it as a nanny of any kind. Ropa's a
Well, it could provide protection
disturbing
against
creatures,
anyone.
but they are very good at guarding against vermin. So if you find one, it's generally best to leave it be. But they're not kind. What did you find? What was the results of the investigation?
We got a map which listed out their movement and like their local whereabouts and stuff.
Truly.
They're heading north to a town whose name I've forgotten, and it's not in our chat box.
We can review the notes together as we
Yeah.
travel back to Greenest. We'll need to get these people home safely.
Yes. We also recovered a little bit of their treasure, but most of it was taken farther north.
That is a
But
shame.
the pressing priority is getting everyone back out because
Yes.
there's still people here probably.
Of course. Well, hey, at the very least, you've managed to rescue all of these, and this is good. This is very good. Thank you, all of you.
You're welcome.
Well,
Yeah.
I've managed to secure a few horses. They can help carry us back, or at least help pull some of these wagons to get some of these people back a bit faster. Why don't we get together and make our way?
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, thank you.
I'm really looking forward to a real bet tonight.
As you all begin to draw yourselves along, and this particular chapter of your adventure comes to a close, you sit back in the wagons, aching, bruised, exhausted, hurting.
Sleep.
So I've heard that after battle, there's this food called shawarma, which is just the best. You'll feel like infinitely better if you eat it after battle.
It's
I
not
don't know where you buy it, but I've heard rumor of it. I read it in a book once.
You could check for it in. You could check to see if there's a shawarma joint in Greenest, but just remember they did recently have a dragon attack. There might be a shortage.
Yeah.
But as you settle in and you begin to dream of shawarma and your particular cuts of prepared sheep, and you
Delicious.
you deal with the smell of wet wolf dog and the other strange sounds coming from Mororuk's traveling menagerie. You see that your friend Sir Arik has passed out from sheer exhaustion without even taking his armor off in the back of this wagon as it pulls you. Leosin is driving the wagon. He seems content not to talk to you and just to let you all rest, and he'll find out more later. The rest of you settle in for what rest you can get as you make your way back. And that's the end of this particular chapter of the story. Congratulations, all of you. You have gained
No one
a
died!
level. And no one died.
No one died! Sir Eric was trying real hard, but we made sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, part of the reason that Sir Arik is passed out right now, he's been knocked unconscious so many times recently that he had a full point of exhaustion even after your last experience or two. And it was really catching up to the guy. So he's going to have to sleep this off for at least 2 days to be able to be travel-worthy again. Because I just realized I should have been rolling him at -1 and cutting his skill checks and his movement down because of how tired he should have been from being knocked unconscious that many times in that short of a period of time.
He was just so jazzed with our righteous quest that he's like, oh no, man, I got this. And that's why he's sleeping so hard right now, because he used up all of his energy.
I mean, it's one of those things. You've got to deal, and
when there's dragons you gotta kill, there's dragons you gotta kill. You can't take a nap.
That's right. When you got a job to do, you got to do it. But thank you, everybody out there in Internet Land, for joining us this evening. We'll pick up another chapter of the adventures of our crew next time, which will be in 2 weeks' time. So I hope you'll all be here, and we'll be back at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, next Monday after next. This will be February the 5th. So I look forward to seeing you all then. I hope everybody can be there. Manny, sorry we missed you, man. And, Ugo, I'm sorry about whatever's going on with your vehicle, buddy. I hope you get home soon. Hope we get to see you again. Sarah, happy birthday again.
He just got home like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Oh.
It's perfectly okay. These things happen. So, hope the rest of you have a great night. I'm going to stay and chat with my players off stream a little bit, help them get their level ups finished, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Thanks for joining Dungeon Dwellers, and we'll see you next time.